Bearish. Bearish. Alright, cool. Nice. Yo, chat. You're great already. Let me move some windows around. This is another interview, and we're here for interviewing. Give you what these actually are. The idea that I had was to basically ask other RPers what the heck is going on, and then steal knowledge from them so that I could be a better RPer, but also stream it so that I had a reason for them to not just be like, hey, this is kind of weird, so other people could benefit as well. And then it sort of just became hanging out and talking about RP, and that's what it basically is. I asked some questions of everyone that are all the same, and then I have more targeted, I guess, questions for specific people or whatever, so because I think everyone's good at something, so I try and figure out what that is and ask those questions to those people. That's what we're doing. Hooray. I don't know if I ever explained that fully in the previous ones that occurred recently, but that's what it is. Also, disclaimer to you, if you don't want to answer anything or you want to skip or whatever, which I don't think will happen, but if you want, that's fine with me. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
No, I don't think so. But you are Sandien. Oh, there was there's numbers at the end of your name, but I couldn't remember what they were.
Don't worry about it, just Sandien.
Okay. Normally I just include, the whole thing, but I couldn't remember what they were, so I went with just Sandien. But who is, or no, not Sandien, the character. Who are you? How'd you get into RP? What are you doing here?
Well, I guess I'm Sandien. I been RP. Well, I played D&D for a long time, so that's basically my intro into RP. But then I was watching, I believe, GTA RP, and saw one of their players go into a Conan server, which I've played Conan for years, and I was like, okay, that looks cool, and they were RPing on that, and I was like, oh, I'll try that out. After trying to get on their server, it didn't work out, and I just went on random servers, which weren't actually RP servers. Well, they put RP at the end of their names, but I made a character, went to the background, did all that stuff. It literally just turned into PvP servers. People would blow up your houses when you weren't around, stuff like that. So I finally put a whitelist into, a whitelist server and got into that, and that's when it all really began.
Wow.
That was 4 years ago, I believe, 3.5, 4 years ago now.
So, wow, you did the thing that I would say is terrifying to me, of going into random servers and trying to, with no knowledge, I guess, about what really the server is and those people and stuff, and just trying to RP. I can't even imagine that. That's crazy. That's
well, yeah, I played, D&D forever, which was with random people online. Started out, it was all people that you knew, of course, but then when I, moved away from all the friends and stuff like that, it was just random people online I RP with. And when I was like, oh, I'll just try this out, and when the whitelist didn't go through for the first server I was trying to get on, I was like, okay, I'll just go on to ones that don't have whitelists and try to get my feet wet into this world. And no one cared about stories on those servers. They just were like, I'm this, and go over to your house and put a bomb in front of it. I'm doing this. Boom, your house just exploded. I'm in your house taking your stuff. and it basically became a PvP server, which I started learning how to PvP fight, defend myself type things, and I was like, okay, I want to actually RP. My character has an actual story. Will someone like talk to me here? And like you had mild talks that just got aggressive and stuff like that. But then I finally got onto an actual RP server, and it was much better experience. Like I didn't fight anyone for it was like it was a weird experience for me, of course, but like I didn't fight anyone for the first like 2 months, and I'm like, this is great, being able to have a house without it being exploded when you're sleeping is like the nicest thing I've ever seen.
Wow. Wow. That makes me think of like the comparison I make in my head just now is when WoW came out and we were playing on PvP, and like you couldn't even quest in the low stuff without dying over and over again. I can't imagine trying to RP through that. That's incredible. Wow. So then, how do you? So you have this like background and all this stuff that, like, for those people who are like watching or gonna watch this later, I don't know most of these people that I'm asking questions to, so like, I don't know their backgrounds, right? So you have this like long background of RP and RPG tabletop stuff. How do you create your characters? Do you do the whole like backstory, like in depth kind of thing? Because you just mentioned a backstory.
Yeah, I start out with a concept of like what I would like to play on the season that I'm playing in. Uh, I'll go like, okay, I want to play kind of an intellectual caster type that delves into stuff, and then I'll go into like what I will go further into how their backstory works, and then I'll go, okay, well, all right. I always mess up because I would go, oh yeah, what race are they gonna be? Because I'm like already going into their backstory and all this stuff. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta do race, I gotta do, all that other things that you gotta throw in there, and I'm like, okay, and then I'll come up with it, and then like I wouldn't go like crazy. I don't write like a novel or anything. I do like cliff notes of what has happened in their past, what makes their personality, what how they would act in certain situations, and then I kind of, while the story's going, like while I'm playing on the server, I will add things that make sense to the story and give people information and stuff like that, and then it will delve out to be more. But yeah, I don't write a novel or anything about them before. Like Sandien's story, I played him on a season or server before this, like I don't know, like a year and a half ago. And then a friend of mine asked me to join this server and play Sandien because the character he was bringing in to this server was a friend of Sandien's, and he wanted Sandien to come there with him. So I
Gotcha.
was like, okay, yeah, I'll play Sandien. But I had to change his backstory to kind of and race and stuff like that to kind of fit into this world because they didn't have the same race templates and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I gotta mess around with what happened to him over I put like, okay, it's been like 5, 10 years since the last time these two have seen each other. So I kind of went through a story of what he's been doing for the last 10 years, what has changed about him, and what his life is now, what kind of person he is, and then I brought him in. Don't get me wrong, a week in, the guy quit the server, and I was playing Sandy, by myself.
Yeah. Um. So to me, um, when I met Sandy and through Barry, like, I guess not to do the like stereotypical thing where you say no offense, but but no offense, like I thought Sandy was like a normal chill dude. Um and like I don't really play characters who care about stuff, so I definitely didn't ask anything about the story really. But over time of seeing Sandy over and over again, this normal chill bro kind of thing that I was seeing, I realized that you were like referencing something that I hadn't asked about, and like a story behind things that my character probably wouldn't look at or get involved in. So, what if you're willing to say what the secrets are and the things we didn't say are, what is sort of the story that I never asked about? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sandien had like basically he's a mercenary now. Like his whole life changed, and he doesn't want to stay in one place. He doesn't want to get to know anybody really. Like he doesn't like he was introducing himself and getting to know people here to see who could help him with his job. Like he came
Okay.
to this place because he was paid to come here. As you can tell, Sandien did step back from hanging out with Barry. I don't know if you noticed it. Like he stopped showing up to the treehouse. He stopped going to there because he realized that they could not help him with what he needed.
Right.
So, um, he made some people like he wouldn't call people here, most people here, friends. He called them like acquaintances or people that he needed that might help him with it. Like so his job was literally I had it where he came here to collect the body of an intelligent Deathclaw.
Okay.
Someone wanted to a person off screen off thing wanted this body. Um, and he was like, okay, how do I get this? He finally found someone that could get it for him, which he made a deal with. And like his personal backstory, he doesn't really talk about it all that much. He doesn't want people to get the close to him. He doesn't want to get close to them. Like that, he was a one shot. I literally brought him in to play with that guy I told you about,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, he'll leave after the season, and I still put it that way. He's still done like after the season.
Gotcha. Um, Interesting. Do do you think that the server setting, I guess, or the story, or maybe it's something about Conan, um, it is there something here that leads to less normal people characters? Like I said, I thought Sandien was pretty normal, and then over time I was like, oh, this is not what I thought it was. So, and I don't think I saw a lot of normal people. Yeah.
Well, I can't speak for anyone else. I can speak for myself. I played D&D for many years, and it came to the
Yeah.
concept of why would I RP a human? I'm a human every day.
True. But
Uh,
you've seen other servers, right? Other Conan servers. I'm new to Conan. I don't do that. Um, are there
w-
are there normal people out there like basic?
oh yeah. Well, all the PvP servers were more vanilla based. They didn't have much of the mods, so everyone was a human. I find when I did play on servers that were just vanilla based, they got stale real quick. I'm a human. I'm part of this tribe. You're a human. You're part of this tribe. What do we have to do? Okay, we can fight each other. Um, when you start going into the more magical fantasy world, there's a lot more diversity. Don't get me wrong, you will find a lot of vampires, so
Yeah.
which it just pops up that way. Everyone now is it the Conan universe? No, it's the mods. The Conan universe is literally like even the magic in the books from Conan, which you said I believe that you don't know anything about the Conan thing, but even their magic or sorcerers in the books aren't real sorcerers. They're literally just like like magicians or whatever we call like they they don't really do any real magic. Uh, the original game is trying to introduce magic, but they always fail. But yeah, when they start bringing in those mods that allow you to be dragons or whatever you're going to be, it's 100% going to everyone's going to be what they aren't in real life, or as much as possible. Like you're not an old man that is a Mad Hatter type character, so like you
Right.
still are somewhat different than what you are. That's why I could never get into like playing a GTA RP. I don't want to work at McDonald's, or whatever
Uh,
they have there, a burger shot. That's what's called.
I have that same sentiment. I've avoided GTA a lot because uh, it's really really realistic. However, I come from Atlas, which is predominantly human pirates, sailors, um, and I think the difference is like in Atlas, when you see someone isn't playing, I guess, a normal human person, their character and their story is so big and broad and out there that, like, they would never work in an actual society. And maybe when you come to Conan, you see it in the character, like, race and stuff, instead of in the big, like, personality. Obviously they're there, but I'm trying to think of normal people, and so I'm thinking about, like, Red Rose Town, and there's the bartender Anira, who I would say is a normal person, did a normal bartender thing, but if you look at her, that is not a normal person. That's an elf with tattoos or something. I can't actually remember without her in front of me, but, like, not what I would consider, a normal person, you know? So maybe there's something in the setting. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I'd put it that normal people is boring, but
Yeah.
even the humans have some type of quirk to them on the server. You'll find, like, I think I was on a server with a guy who played like a farmer, and he made a farm, and his character, like, asked people for help with his farm, things like that. But it found out later that he was like a master thief who was stealing from everybody. And
Perfect.
he got caught, and like, his hand got cut off. But yeah, like, but he was still just a human, of course. Like, it's hard to say. Like, Sandien, like, other than being a werewolf, he was just a normal guy. Like,
Yeah.
the werewolf part was a curse on him. He had traumas that changed and shaped who he was. Um, he had a belief. He was a religious person, which is something he didn't talk about, because who his god wasn't a god that was from these lands, and isn't what would be considered a good god. But do I consider, like, it's hard to say. The servers do dictate what you play. I've been on servers where humans were the dominating race, which was a long time ago, probably 3 years ago. Since then, it's like 2 humans on the server at most. Every other time, like, running into a group of humans is rare. Like, you're literally playing the minority.
Dope. So on that, I guess, kind of like, I'm just making up questions at this point because we're talking about way different stuff than I wrote down. I don't know anything about Conan, right? And I don't know anything about the races that are available, like wood elf versus some other elf. They're all elves to me. I have no idea, right? Do you have any, like, and I know what your answer is going to be, unfortunately, but do you have any tips for, like, getting into that stuff and trying to play something that isn't a human, or isn't a bland, not bland, but like a very cookie cutter kind of character?
Well, like, uh, it also matters about the server you're on. Like, this one has
Yeah.
in-depth thing about their races, so you can look in that and be like, okay, this is cool. This server has more about what they like. A lot of people, or a lot of servers I've been on, have, like, okay, if you want to be an elf, you should be this height. That's it. There's no background on, like, what elves
Okay.
are. No real paragraphs or anything. They just want people to stick to the same height, so similar races, similar heights. But if you want to go real in depth, there are multiple of genres. It matters what you're into, to be honest. Like, I, of course, pull a lot of D&D stuff, but I know people who go Warhammer 40K. A lot of people go into, like, whatever. I remember there was a vampire from a TV show they liked. Um, that gets a bit confusing when you start, like, pulling different types of vampires. Like, this server has it as well. There's like 10 different types of vampires. They all
Uh-huh.
die certain ways. Some are affected by or light, some aren't. And you start going into, like, how, as a vampire hunter, do I know how to kill all these guys? But
Right.
if you go into, like, D&D is a very easy way to learn about stuff. It's literally Google elves, put D&D at the end, you'll get a massive page of everything you need to know about elves. Yeah, Forgotten Realms is that's the first thing that pops up anytime you want to learn about elves or anything about D&D is name, D&D, and Forgotten Realms will pop up. Outside of
Gotcha.
that, if you like a certain genre of elves, like if you like Lord of the Rings elves, just there's literally websites, type in elves, put Lord of the Rings, they'll give you all the details. D&D is more simple by the idea of like, you know, your multiple types of elves. And if you want to be a weird snow elf or whatever else elf you want to be, they have references to every single one of them in their like description going like elves in my opinion can be just elves. Like I'm an elf. You don't have to go into Yes, she asks me every time she wants to know what an elf or anything is. But and I literally just Google it, copy paste, send it to her, you know. I'm not some kind of like encyclopedia of races or anything like
Mhm.
that.
Okay, so were you there at the Thyra funeral thing?
I well, Sandien got on the server the day after Thyra died, so he would not
Oh,
go
okay.
to her funeral.
Okay. Um, okay, I was gonna ask you about an event. I guess weren't there for. Um, okay, I'll skip that. Well, I'll actually just tell you. What happened was they caught some bro who was doing some douchebaggery up in the mountains. They finally caught someone they were hunting, right? Um, and I can't remember that character's name, but it's the person who played Dredd or whatever. And they brought the body down and had a discussion about how to kill that entity, and it was very Heskel. That's it. Thank you. It was Heskel. I don't know why I had a whole room in my house, but you think that that makes sense to have the discussion about like if we cut him apart, does he actually die? If we burn him, does he actually die? You know, like having that discussion in character, does that make sense? If it were, say, a vampire and you were a vampire hunter, would that make sense?
Well, in this world, yes. If you're in your like of course, a vampire normally dies in these ways, but you have to go with like I knew a vampire clan that left the server, but their vampires were taken from the supernatural world from that TV show.
Yeah.
So they don't die from sunlight. They don't die from a couple things that normal vampires do. The problem is like you could do the whole like rolling. Do my character know about this stuff? If you really want to, or you can just message the guy. Oh, Sealy. But yeah, in character, if you have a group of people sitting around and they're like, we have no idea how to kill this guy. Do you know? And they start discussing it. It would make sense. Um, you could actually just start testing things out. Like I don't know why they didn't just start stabbing him and cutting his head off and seeing if he comes back to life after a couple seconds.
Oh, they
You know,
they were working on some junk, I think.
yeah,
I
I
wasn't
like
super involved, but yeah.
yeah, it wouldn't make sense for Barry to be like, "Hey, I think you should be able to cut off his head." You know,
Right.
it just wouldn't make sense. But yeah, um, it's a weird scenario because of the world we're in. Like as I said, vampire becomes a real weird thing to start talking about because, like, you see a vampire walk up to you in the daylight, you're like, well, that doesn't work in the world that my character came from. Like, if he was out in the sunlight, he dies. Like, that's just all we know. Okay, this vampire's walking in the sunlight. Okay, does he have some magical means? Is it natural? My mind as a a person who's DM'd and stuff like that, a lot of things pop in my head. Like, okay, does he have a magical item that makes it allow him to walk in the sunlight? If he's naturally allowed to walk in the sunlight, that throws a huge wrench in what we know about the world of this like vampire. Like, okay, he can walk in the sunlight. Does the stake not work on him? Does this not work on him? Does this not work on him? Okay, we're kind of messed up. We're fucked now.
Right.
But yeah, if they had a conversation in character about how to kill somebody, it matters who's having the conversation. If some like innkeeper walks up and goes, "Yeah, I think you should be able to," like, okay, you're a little bit out of your depth here.
Yeah, yeah. I think there was like a witcher and some sort of like other demon. Like I don't know. Honestly, I don't know about any of these people. I think they're very interesting, and to me personally, playing for a month or so on this server is like walking around and seeing a bunch of colors like all run past, which I love colors, by the way, but like I don't know the depth behind any of the characters, so what are you gonna do? But I do think it's very interesting. Also, for the record, I've only played D&D one time. We had this homie who had experience, so he DM'd for us. We spent a lot of time ruining his story, which I hear is common, but I've also never heard a human say OOCly before out loud, and I had no idea how to say it until you said it. There you go.
Yeah. All right.
I'm learning. I did not expect any of this information. Wow.
Well,
Amazing.
I heard it a while back in Discord, and I don't know why someone would like. I didn't know why he was saying it. Like it was so out of context because we were talking about something else, and he was in character like RPing, which he had his thing muted, and I'm sitting there, and me and this other guy were just chatting, and then he unmutes and goes, "All right, this is OOC, guys," and then starts talking about something, and I get mad when people tell me anything, like about characters or anything in
Yeah.
Discord. Like if you start talking about what your character's life is, I normally leave or tell you to shut up. Like
Yeah.
stop talking about this. I don't need to know it. My character might find out about this in character. I don't want that. Like I don't want to. Like I've watched your stream, but it's
Yeah.
for short times, nighttime.
Don't
I
worry.
get off.
Yeah.
I don't try to learn anything of what you're doing. I don't watch Sanders stream when I was actually in the story. Like when Sandien was not in the story, and I didn't think I was ever going to be in the story. I watched
Yeah.
some of Xander's stream. I watched some of the other ones. But when I got into the story, I stopped watching everyone's stream because I don't want it in my head. I
Yeah.
don't want any idea that I could there's been times when someone tells me something and I yell at them like, now I can't go there. Like you just told
Yeah.
me that
Yeah.
this thing's happening. Like I had a plan to go in that direction, but now if I go in that direction, it's literally meta. Now I got to go
Yeah.
do something else. But me not going in that direction now is now meta again because now I'm making outside decisions in character because of what you just said to me. So everything you just ruined my day.
I think this is really great. Again, I thought this is a normal bro. I'm gonna ask him about normal bro questions, and then I talk to you like I actually, spend time talking to you, and you're like hardcore RPer. Like that's so dope. I also agree. I personally don't watch streams. Apologize, I guess. Apologies to other people who stream. I support you, but I don't watch your stuff. That's mostly because I don't want to know the backstory either, because the like surprises and stuff are so good when you walk into someone, or you learn something you couldn't have known except by watching a stream. All that stuff's so good. Do you have any like tips or best practices, not just like, hey, I don't want to hear anything, but like best practices for controlling meta and keeping your character story pure while still being in the community?
Okay. Number one thing that I will say that always messes up is going into personal discords with people that you're claned with or in no. So like I every time I've gone into personal discords with the people that I'm claned with or partied with, the RP for the clan plummets. People start just talking in the Discord instead of RPing and getting to know the character.
Yeah.
So basically, everyone just walks around each other, just does their own thing. and then talks in Discord instead of talking in game. That would be the biggest thing that I'll say that don't do. Like, literally don't go into your personal Discords unless you're not on the game. If you're not on the game, go into your personal Discords and chat. That's fine. Talking in typing, chat settings, stuff like that, you can do that. That keeps you engaged, keeps you talking. That's fine. But when you go into that Discord and you're doing that instead of RPing, you lower it. And I found that people that I've been in clans with Discords, they don't care about each other's story after that. They stop talking to each other about the story. You're just like an NPC, and then they go and they talk to other people outside your clan for their story aspect.
Yeah, I actually agree about that too. I obviously come from other servers and other games, but for example, can I say that? Is there anything wrong with saying that? I don't think so. So the way Darkside works is you are required to invite an admin to your clan Discord or whatever, company Discord. They don't ever say anything. They don't ever engage, except for like maybe a meme or something. But if something comes up along the way, there's a person who can go back and look at that time and see what you were doing, if you were intensively metaing or whatever in your company. So I think that cuts down on it a lot. I don't think that like this server should do that junk, but that definitely reinforces the don't talk about the game outside of the game kind of thing.
Yeah, my first server had that. If you started your own clan Discord, one admin had to be part of the Discord in case there's any, postings that shouldn't be posted, stuff like that. The problem is when you're in chat together, there's like 4 of you in chat. Someone loves talking. I found that people love talking about their characters.
Yeah.
So they want to talk about in character. They talk a lot. Like their character randomly comes up to you and just blurts out their life story, and you're like, I just said hello. And then they in Discord just continue talking about what their character's ideas are, where they're going, what's going to happen, and then you just know way too much. And you're like, okay, well, I want to be interested in your character in game now, but I literally know what your thoughts are and what your next plans are, so I don't know how I can still be engaged. And I don't see how an admin would have to be in the channel to be like, can you stop doing that?
Right.
Yep, stop doing that, sir.
Chaos, that's super legit. I've been in, I don't know, 3 or 4 companies maybe that there were admins in all of them. Just to flex, we had a company that had like one specific rule that we were allowed to away from or whatever, for Darkside, and I just sent an open invite to allow an admin to join, and so we had 4 of them in our Discord. And we were all like, always like, oh, don't meta, don't break the rules, like referencing rules all the time, because we were watched, or we could have been watched, so I think a lot of people follow that rule on Darkside. But in, for example, the like main chat, you say, people talk about their stories and stuff. I definitely see that stuff a lot. Explaining like things that have happened. Okay, wait. Let's talk about this, I guess, specifically the RP commendation thing. That channel, how do you feel about that specific part of this server?
I don't mind when people like say you did good RP last night. That's fine. I don't want any details of what they did that was good. Like, I don't want to be like, yeah, we did an awesome ritual last night that summoned this creature. Like, I don't want to know any of that. You saying, Sandien, you did good RP, it was fun, move on. The only channels I don't understand is the story channel. Like when you're writing your RP story randomly. Like someone will write 6 paragraphs of their like that's just literally meta that my character does not know or will never know about your character, but now I know it in my mind. So I don't read anything on there. Don't get me wrong, I have a pet peeve that everything has to be, scrolled all the way to the bottom so that little dash isn't there because I'm OCD. But other than that, I read none of those stories at all. I don't really read the exit story because my character was not there when you exited. My character does not know that you exited unless I get told in character that you exited. I don't know you left. You didn't
Yeah.
say goodbye to me, so guess what? I have no idea. I'm still going to go to your house randomly and knock on your door like an idiot because I don't know that you're there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that so I've done these interviews for Darkside when it was running and stuff, and one of the things that we discussed was the idea of going to DMs and saying, bro, that was amazing RP, or I can't believe I walked into that scene. That was amazing. I love it. So when I came here and there's a whole channel for that, I was like, oh man, that's amazing. That's exactly what people should do. And then I did what I thought it was for, right? I'm like tagging people like, hey, that I can't believe how good you are, or that interaction was perfect, you did great. And then I see other people like, when the red dragon walked in and there was a golden dragon across the room and they locked eyes, I was like, whoa, I don't think that's what this is for. But at the same time, we never get to talk about the story that everyone's missing. So like, you're writing this epic story about Sandien, right? Like, he's got all this backstory and he's got these interactions and he's got these goals, but nobody else gets to hear it, and that sucks balls. Do you have any like better ways to maybe give us the story or tell us the story or whatever junk?
Well, I have the way that I RP, I guess, is I delve into other people's stories. Hopefully they grow interest in my character and they will try to get into mine. Like Sandien knows a decent amount about Barry, about what Barry's doing. Retired kindergarten teacher, wants to have a potion that makes him live for 2,000 years and then die, turn to ash. He has interest in, women, but they're all fucking too young for him. Literally every girl in this land that I talked to him about, he said they're too young. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. He loves tea parties. He loves creating things. He likes to sing. Not the greatest at it, but he can do it.
Yeah.
Like Sandien knows a lot about Barry.
Yeah.
Barry doesn't know shit about Sandien. Barry knows that Sandien's name is Sandien.
Here's what Barry knows. Hold on, I got this.
Okay.
Barry knows Sandien has golden eyes for some reason. I don't know why. He knows that Sandien gave stuff to him and uses this like giving mechanic to like gratiate himself or like test or something. I don't exactly know why, but he does this thing where he just walks up and hands over something, I think, to see what happens. Sandien hangs with the crew of Vesa and Valhalla, but is not there and involved, so I don't know why. And typical great fighter, all of that junk. I don't think I have any backstory. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I got.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's not. I'm like attacking you or anything on this.
Yeah.
Literally, nobody knows anything about Sandien. Yesterday or day before, they were talking about going and finding Nala, and Sandien's like, "Yeah, she's not here. Like, I can't find her." And Twig goes, "Isn't she your girlfriend?" And Sandien looks at her and goes, "No, I literally know nothing about her, and she knows nothing about me. She's never asked me anything. We literally had zero time to get to know each other. She's not my girlfriend. Like, I let her stay in my room because she didn't have one. I slept on the floor. Don't be wrong, Sandien wanted, Sandien's a man. He would love to, have sex with her. But outside of that, he's like he did not get attached. He was not going to get attached to any of these people. But he was he joined their group because they had materials, they had people. Some of them knew how to fight. He can survive here. Like it was supposed to be a different group, but of course they all went to bed and never woke up again. But yeah, like nobody asked Sandien any questions about his backstory. Nobody on the server. But I go and I talk to people. I get into interactions with people. But it's no, I didn't just. Sandien didn't just want sex, okay? But he did want. But my philosophy with all my characters, which never works, there's always one person normally per season that I play that delves into my character's story. But outside of that, nobody else gives a shit, and I found that with a lot of people's thing. Like, I don't want to be mean, but 90% of this server does not give a shit about other people's stories. They care.
Yeah.
People care about their stories. If you come into my story, yeah, we're best friends. But once you don't care about their story, they don't care about your story.
Yeah. How do you think we should? Okay, so like, I have two divergent thoughts. First, that we don't exist for years, so we can't possibly get all the stories that we would want, right? Because the stories are constantly flowing the whole time, and they're constantly changing. So Barry knows a ton about Nelly, knows a ton about some of the people who came and left at the treehouse, right? Because they were accessible, they were there. I spent time asking them questions. I know the favorite flowers of random people or characters, like I know all of that junk because I had the time and the access, right? But obviously I know nothing about Sandien, and that's probably happening all the time. You can only be involved in so many stories because you can't possibly walk around 24/7 while people are playing, or I guess not 24. But anyway, so well, I think that there's that idea, right?
Well, yeah, but the thing is what I'm talking about is like the people even in your circle.
Yeah.
Like you knew about Nelly, but did you know about like Sandien knew a little bit enough about each people. Sandien had a story of why he was keeping. Sandien wasn't supposed to stay around. Like that's
right.
why I was playing him that way. Now, Barry not knowing about Sandien is fine.
Yeah.
But we did have long conversations.
Right.
And there were times where we could have, went back and forth in that general. Don't be wrong, there were some weird things like that when Sandien and Barry hung out. A sing-off started. We had a tea party thinking the Deathclaw was going to come and kill Danny. Like weird things have happened when we were hanging out that kind of deterred from a actual deep delve in each other's story. But I have a lot of people that Sandien hung out with every day, and literally really didn't care to get to know Sandien. It was a busy server because of the story, but there were always 3 to 4 hours before the 700th meeting we had for them to have a conversation. But nobody really did. They were all focused on what they were doing. Yes, Sandien and London's friendship was more mutual respect than like he respected London. Sorry, Bog said something about Sandien and London being bros.
You're good.
But yeah, Sandien and London were it was respect thing more than he's my best friend in Sandien's eyes. I respect him because he knows how to fight. He knows what he's doing. He's decisive. He does what he does. But he wasn't gonna die for London. He would help London, stuff like that. But Sandien has his own thing that he's doing.
Let me ask you this. Hold on. So, I believe I almost said I agree. I believe in the truth that you are saying, and I know that I'm a terrible person for doing this because I, as a human myself, I'm very. I say I don't care all the time, like all the time, and whether I do care or not, it doesn't matter, right? But would you say that we as our peers, we as D&D players, RPG players, nerds, internet kind of not the norm, or whatever the stereotypical thing is for us, right? Would you say that that leads into us not knowing or not being good at the interactions that would lead to story knowledge and character growth and all of the stuff that we should be doing?
Well, yeah, social interactions is something that most people don't get, other than not most people, but most of us don't get. We of course we stare at a screen, or we play D&D
Uh-huh.
with the people we know. We hang out with the people we know, and then when you meet new people, it's always a weird interaction. I have I don't want to say better, but I have good social skills. I talk to people. I interact with people. I'm kind of a dick, but um, I also believe, like most people who do RP, D&D are what would you consider the drama students, basically. You would consider them, if they could have, they would all be in drama club, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And we're all drama queens. Like, we live
Right.
off this stuff. Well, half the people on the server just love causing drama for no apparent reason. Like, their character will just do drama, and you're like, okay, that didn't make any sense, but let's go with this. You know, they just love the idea of the drama around them, all that stuff. And then you got the other group, that or other side, that wants nothing to do with it.
Right.
Wants no drama around them at all. Wants a peaceful, happy life. And then you're trying to slam these two groups together and say, interact.
Right.
Now, can we get better at communicating? Yes. There's also a little bit of selfishness. I had it when I first started RPing. I wanted my story. I wanted people to
Right.
see my story. I want people to hear my story. This is my story. I want it to happen this way. Let's go. I'm telling you about it. You're gonna know about it. Blah blah blah. And then I grew out of that. I literally most of my characters, other than a couple that don't really have story, but most of my characters they don't talk about it. Like, you have to get to know them, and then they'll you know bits and pieces here and there, and then you can tie stuff together, and then you ask him. His glowing eyes. I turn, like, literally, I had it on my hotbar, my yellow eyes, which are basically beast eyes. They are yellow eyes with a black slit down the middle. They're what happens when he has to see in the dark. When he
Okay.
wants to see in the dark, I turn on his eyes. When he's angry, his eyes turn on. It's basically like I had it as a step of when he's going to shift.
Okay.
So when he gets his eyes on, and it's literally the only reason I did that is so people would ask about it. Do you want to know how many people asked about his eyes?
Zero, I would assume.
One,
Oh,
twig.
okay.
But it was in the middle of nowhere, or by people's house. And Sandien isn't gonna be like, well, I'm a werewolf. That's why it happened. Like, we're right by some people's houses. I don't know. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. My eyes are just yellow. Which his eyes are yellow
Right.
when they're not glowing. His irises are yellow. But so he just said that to try to, like, get her to stop asking when we're in the middle somewhere. Like, if she would have asked at home or something, he would have been like, yeah, it's because my eyes glow when I need to see at night. Blah blah blah. This is he would go into more detail with her because he trusts Twig. But the ability to communicate between people is just going to come with practice, 100%. That's why my philosophy became, I'm going to delve into other people's stories.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping that people would go back, reciprocate the process. It just doesn't happen. It literally, I will talk to people, get to know their characters, and the asking me questions is so much rarer. Like, I'll be like, hey, so what's going on with you? How's this going? How's this? What's going on? And then they would be like, oh yeah, I gotta go. And
Right.
you're like, okay, well, this conversation's over. I guess they don't care.
I think for me personally, so I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know. I still don't know anything about Conan, and I didn't know about the races. I think a lot of the non-investment that came from me was because I was constantly trying to provide, in order to cover for the huge lack of knowledge and the lack of backstory and lack of everything. So I would just provide random freaking information like, oh, I slept in a tree stump last night. We freaking had a tea party with these animals and like all this stuff. And then like I would say that, and there's no way for someone else to have a normal conversation, I don't think, because then you got to know like how does that work. And so I would just explain it, right? I'm providing this whole story junk the whole time, but I do know that I need to ask questions that aren't what's your favorite flower, but how are you feeling, or those sorts of questions. How then how do we I think it's difficult to learn, and it's difficult to grow, because we don't sit in streams and watch streamers. We sit in streams and AFK because we want to support the community and we want to support them, but we're not paying attention, right? We don't want the meta, so we don't get that there. And it's not like there's a channel for how to improv or how to do good RP or whatever. So I think it's really difficult for us to get to where we are people who would invest in Sandien. And I don't know what we should do exactly about that.
Well, I'd say the one thing that I learned, it was the people I surround myself with. So like I normally start out each season, my character's solo. I don't start a season going, okay, my guy's going to be in this group. Boom, we're in a group before the season starts. 90% of my characters, I've only done it once. 90% of my characters are solo characters that naturally progress into a group. Outside of that, like it matters about the people who are RPing around you, like what you'll learn from them, how to engage with people. Like if they come up to you and go, hey Barry, so like I know you're retired, but you're starting to learn this magic. Like if they start engaging with you with more questions that you wouldn't ask, then you would get the tendency to ask them similar
Right.
questions. But if they're not asking Barry any questions other than, hey Barry, dance for us, or hey Barry, sing for us, or hey Barry, do this tour, then you're
Right.
not going to gain the social skills to
Right.
have a conversation outside of that. It's really who you surround yourself with is what type of RP you're going to do. If I'm with like Shadow's Embrace, it's going to be a much different feel, a much different intensity than you're going to get than when you're hanging out with the Treehouse or even Valhalla Rising.
Right.
They're just different groups. If you stay with the same group, let's say you're with the same group for 6 seasons, you're going to RP with that group the way you feel comfortable RPing, and then when you go out to RP with other groups, it ain't going to feel the same. You're not going to have the same vibes. So asking questions there, you're going to be more, okay, I'm just going to be Barry now. Let's do a tea party. Let's hang out. Let's do this. And then you're not going to delve into them, and they're not going to delve into you. When I first met Barry as Sandien, I thought you were memeing on everybody, like making a joke of this, and you would be gone in a
Oh.
day or two.
Oh, I was memeing.
Yeah, yeah.
But also, I've played a meme before, so I can
Well,
put more into it. I think
yeah, I didn't have like any problems with that. Like
Yeah.
when I first met as Sandien, I didn't really put anything into like talking to Barry or anything like that because I thought it was a meme. And I was like, okay, this is funny. This is a good little fun scene. Then I'll move on to my normal stuff. But then I ran into you, I think, 2 more times. One was like I think the Dead House was the second time we hung out, and then the third time was when I ran into you at the at the market, and I helped you with the quest you were doing.
Yeah.
So like the Dead House kind of opened me up to a little bit more of like, okay, Barry is a jokester, but he still has some substance. He's still somewhat of a person, not just like, because I've played on servers where people just like, I had a server where a person was naked 99% of the time, and it was so hard to take that person seriously. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you just walked into the room, you're completely naked. What do I say to you? My character says, put on some fucking clothes. Like,
Right.
that was our interactions. And then she's like, I don't want clothes. And then you're like, okay, I'm done with you. I got to go do other things. But it, like, it was hard. Like, that's a person who's just, like, it was hard to get into any kind of an in-depth conversation with that person. But when more and more Barry came out, like, okay, this guy actually has things. Like, okay, and that's why I asked, like, what were you before you were retired? Like, and then you told me stuff, and then I went further in, and I went, okay, yeah, this character I can talk to. So Sandien went a little more in depth, helped you out with the thing. I still love the scene where you told me that you needed 3, but you didn't tell me before of how many you actually need. So Sandien just walks away all pissed off, just motherfucking Barry. Like, god damn it. And I just walk off to the carriage because I got to go kill undead again.
Yeah, that was really funny. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yes. So, like, it's hopefully you're just gonna, like, as I can tell, you're just learning, and you're going, like, I know you came from another background, and in this world it's just engaging with people a little bit more. You don't, like, the flower thing is fine, like coming up and going, what's your favorite flower? And the
Yeah,
person
yeah.
says rose, and you're like, why did you pick rose? Like, and then you can delve into more of a
Basic.
story, like, I pick rose because of this. But like, if you just stop with, hey, what's your flower? Oh,
Yeah.
I like dandelions. Why?
Yeah.
Or you don't say anything. You're just like, all right, thank you for the information. You walk off. You're like, like, or you just insult him. That's a stupid choice, and then you walk away. That'd be
Well,
fun.
on the thing about memes, Barry was a joke to see if I could say the lines, do the impression, and the whole time, me and the homies, we have this concept of Conan RP that's like cringe dramatic and very innuendo based and all about dongs and sex and stuff. So like the joke was, hey, this doesn't fit at all, look at this, aha, it's funny, right? And then because it seemed so accepted, which I was not expecting, at least at the beginning, it seemed very accepted and very sort of promoted even. I was like, cool, let's stay longer. But I have RP'd for years. I have played characters long term, and if you watch the stream, there's a lot of times, which you don't have to, there's a lot of times where I'm saying, I don't know what the motivation is anymore. The joke's already over. And so I'm like, I'm taking everything I can, trying to get some motivation to just walk anywhere or talk to anyone because the joke was already over. I already did it. So I think that was definitely a limitation on me personally, that I imposed on myself. I put a character into the world that, if you look at the reference material, doesn't care about anything, doesn't have any clear motivation. He smashes a watch at some point and pours jam into it. There's a lot of tea. There's a mouse for some reason. Like, I didn't make a character. I made a joke, and then I had to make it into a character, and it was really difficult. So, I saw that a lot, and that's why I respect so much people like you who have this backstory, who have this. You say, oh, I don't put a lot of work into it. You put way more work into it than I did, and I think that's amazing. I'm gonna practice it more, like this backstory thing, this, all of that stuff. It's just not what I normally do. I normally write it, along the way, just like it sounds like a lot of people do, but I make up everything along the way. I'm gonna try and blend it.
Yeah, I think I'm more of a blender than a full story. Like with Sandien's thing, there was here and there where I had basically like what would be key points of his life. Like this happened at this point, this happened at this point, and then while I was going around, if people asked me more in-depth questions about other things, I would elaborate and go into more detail of what happened that got him to this point type things. And it's more of like even when I'm DMing D&D, I literally I don't write anything.
Okay.
I go off of like just whatever they're doing. Like we're gonna go east now. Okay, I got to write a whole story for east in my head right now because I didn't really have anything for that area. Like
okay, wait, whoa. That would be impossible for me, because I don't play D&D, right? I don't know any of that stuff. Were you always that way, or does that come from experience?
Well, years of D&D. I'm old.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I've been playing D&D since like 1992.
That is a date.
So,
yep.
Yeah. It was 29 years ago. 20.
Whoa, math. Not we don't do
20 years
math
ago.
here. Okay.
30 years ago now. 30 years ago now. Sorry, 30 years ago. But yeah. Math is hard. I don't like it either. But yeah, D&D. Well, I started out as an idiot because I was like 12 years old when I did it. But I was like, my characters just hit things. That's it. But now, after years of DMing, and I've stepped away from it a little more because I've been RPing on Conan. I don't really fucking time for it now.
Right.
If I'm not working, I'm on Conan most of the time. Conan is a part-time job.
Right.
If you want to be a part of any of the real story. If you don't care about being part of the real story or being a part of anyone's story, you just get on to fuck around or anything like that. You get on for an hour, fuck around, interact with some people, give them a little bit of story, move on. If you want to be a part of people's stories, if you want to delve in deep, then go ahead and give 8-hour days, which are crazy in my eyes now. I still do them, but then I'm like, I'm exhausted. I need to go to bed.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about how much or how bland it sort of gets when you're a part of a clan or community that plays together over and over and over again. Sure, but would you agree that maybe joining a group that you don't know, even if it's after you've created your character and just like going into the server and joining somebody, 10 people, a whole clan, perfect. Do you think that's a good way for people who don't have time, who only have 2 hours a day maybe to play, to do a story just with themselves and maybe 1 or 2 people in the clan? They don't interact with the whole story, but they can still, I would assume, write a story amongst themselves. Do you think that's a good option for people?
I would 100% recommend, if you are on a budget time limit, to be in a group. It allows you immediate access to RP. Being a solo player with an hour or 2 or 3 a day, it becomes much harder.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, most people who do play a solo player, who have a limited budget of time, will find a clan close by or a clan that they know where they live, and they will just attach to that clan anyways.
Yeah.
And then their RP goes through that one clan. But I recommend just being in the clan. For one, it'll be easier to get supplies, of course. You don't have to be online to gather. The group will do it for you. Outside of that, if you have plenty of time, I recommend starting at least somewhat solo. For one, it lets you get used to the game, the world you're in. It judges what you can do solely, and then organically get into a group. But that's if you have time, like time.
Right.
If you don't have time, yeah, just get into a group. It's the best way.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. It it can be very, from what I've seen of groups, very not scripted, but like you're gonna have a lot of the same interactions and stuff because you live in a place with someone else. Like that's daily life kind of stuff. But I think that it's also really interesting and really easy to get into people's backstories if you don't know anything about them and you're there all the time, like you said.
Oh yeah. One thing I will recommend: if you do join a group, accept their Discord invite. Don't go into their Discords to talk while you're in game. Period.
Right.
While you're RPing, stay as far away as possible. If you want to say goodnight or something like that and go in there, that is fine, but stay far away from just chit-chatting with the people, because then you become it's a weird dynamic. It's a weird interactions, because as I found, when you're in Discord with people, you just don't talk in game with them as much. You don't you don't interact with their characters much, because you know the real person now. You're not talking to the character anymore.
Right.
So I would recommend, if you join a clan, just stay out of the Discord so you're still interested in the characters around you more.
Yep. We have these old friends that I talk about a lot. Brock and Louise, they are long term RPers, and they are very like you just get lost in their characters and stuff. But if you talk to them about it, which I have because I think they're amazing, they don't speak in Discord about anything, and they're like friends. So they don't talk about their characters after they're created. They don't do any of that stuff. All of it happens in game, and then it not only allows them to surprise each other, which is super fun, but it allows other people to hear it maybe accidentally or something like that, and it includes other people, like amazing RP and stuff.
Yeah. Hold on a sec. You're talking about the clan chat in Discord or in Conan, like the actual like clan tab? Is that what you're asking about?
I don't even know what that is.
Well, it's you have your like. I'll probably have a little bit of an argument with you about the whole overlay thing in a minute, but
Okay,
there's the local, global, and clan. Whenever you join a clan, that clan chat should never be used. If you want to do it, period. It was used a little bit in our clan due to the fact that there's two people that are literally like were new and to RP at all, and they started using it to ask questions and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what that is because I've never seen it, but even in trying to learn game mechanics or anything that you can't or you don't think you can learn in RP, definitely not. Never use that stuff. I'm pretty sure that's standard.
It's
all of
literally
that
meta.
Stuff should happen outside. Yeah.
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 If you have a question, you can send it to me in Discord. If you're using the clan tab, I don't know how you could justify your character knowing whatever was just said in clan tab, other than if you really want to be a all powerful, which I stay away from 100%. But there's like people who play all powerful characters that are godly like creatures that have telepathy. So I guess you could go, yeah, he telepathy told me, but I stay away from that crap as far as possible.
Yeah.
It's not bad RP. It's just a little weird because how far does it go? How much can you tell? How powerful is your actual character? What's the point of the rest of our characters if you're playing a god? So, like, I recommend any RP, like, if you can get rid of that tab, because that tab is completely useless and should not be used.
So you don't enjoy that I don't use the HUD?
I don't enjoy that every 5 or 10 minutes you have to put the HUD on, take the HUD off, put the HUD on, take the HUD off. That's more distracting than you just having the HUD on.
Okay.
But I like the idea behind it. If you could somehow be able to know what everything was going on your screen without having your head up, I like that idea. It is more immersive. I just don't like the back and forth because you have like you're like okay what and then you turn your HUD back on and then you turn it off immediately, and that in my opinion when I'm watching your stream is more distracting than if you'd have just left the HUD on the entire time, because I can ignore the HUD because I've been doing this stuff for a very long time. uh but it does make it feel, I understand the idea behind the immersiveness of having the world in full without the bar and stuff. It just doesn't look right sometimes when you're going back and forth through it.
Yeah, I agree. In Atlas, you turn it off and it stays off. Like, it never comes back on. For some reason, some of the mods or something, they force the HUD back on, and it drives me insane. Shifting into animal form turns the HUD back on. There's some other thing that you have to do a lot that turns it back on, and I hate that junk, and I don't want that to happen either. The only time I'm personally turning it on is because I think someone is emoting, and the reason, just to explain, that I don't want to play with the HUD on at all is because I don't find, like, the whole point I'm streaming is to show off what amazing thing occurred in other people, and I think that it's great to have a clip, for example, of your character saying something amazing and really funny to me, and have nothing from me on it. It's all you. Like, I'm in first person, your character's the only person there. Like, I think that's amazing and beautiful. That's why there's no overlay on my stream. That's why there's no, well, chat is there now, but it's as small as I feel like I can make it. Like, that's my goal, so that's why it's occurring. And if Conan allowed me to understand emotes without having it on and it never turned it on, I would never turn it on personally.
Yeah, I understand the purpose
Yeah.
behind not having the thing going in the way you are portraying the world. Of course, the slash me's and stuff do force you to turn it back on. But yeah, it's understandable. I understand it. It's distracting when I'm watching the stream. Don't get me wrong, it's not something that's like, oh, that's going on, I'm not gonna watch him anymore. Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do something else. No, but like between the two, I would personally just leave it on because
Mhm.
but I don't stream because I don't want any meta or anything like that. And
Right.
like if I did stream, it would not be RP.
Well, two things. I watch, of all the people that I do not watch that I do support, Roscoe is the one that I actually occasionally watch, and I compare I compare everything to that because he knows so much about the game and the mods and the emote system and all that stuff. So I watch that and compare the difference, and I have felt like it doesn't affect me as much watching his stream with the HUD and all that junk. So I have thought these things in the past. I feel them also. I'm considering turning off all the names and everything, like completely turning off as much as I can now that I have a feel for the game. The only problem is I'm also going to start learning the actual game, so I might get screwed there. But I would like to point out personally, I don't like the HUD for ranged combat of any kind. Personally, I don't think you should hit every single arrow. A lot of the spells that I cast missed, and the second spell I would base, where that was cast, and recast a spell. And I think that's so real and so unique to playing without the HUD that I recommend fighting without the HUD personally. That's it. yeah, those were just a lot of my thoughts. I don't know. There was no question there.
All right.
But I do have actual questions that I wrote that we have not discussed because I think you're a much greater resource than I knew. But a question that I did write down: what are your feelings on playing RP or whatever? Someone that you're in a relationship with that I did not know until the other person said it.
Well, it's fine. Like, I had a character, what was he, 2 seasons ago now, on a different server that dated her character. And then the next season we played characters that have nothing to do with each other. In this one, we kind of tied in a little bit with them with the backstory. But we like some people are. If you're in a relationship out of character, your characters have to be in a relationship in character. A lot of people do that. I think it's better RP. Like if our characters got together, like if she made a character that was over in Shadow's Embrace and I made a character in the Treehouse, and then we met, and then they, a relationship sparked, whatever. That's fine. But I like the idea. Like she's off doing her own thing, enjoying her RP. I like that. She was in a situation before where she didn't get much RP, and I love it when she's out and enjoying herself RP.
Yeah.
I'm not a jealous person. I don't give a fuck what she does. Have fun. Do whatever it is that is enjoyable. I don't need her by my side 24 hours a day. And she's the same. She goes and does her thing. I go and do my thing. Our characters should have some type of tie-in, or at least get to know, because she still wants to talk to me every day. So we will, like Sandien and Vessa, meet up, talk about whatever job we're doing, talk about what's going on, and then we go about our separate ways. We've been together for like 5-6 months now, something like that.
Okay.
So we haven't gone into every aspect of RPing. We haven't done long-term characters or anything like that yet. My characters never stay long-term. I think I mentioned this to you. Every single one of my characters are season guys. Not by my choice every time. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. Sometimes the RP just goes bad, and I'm like, okay, I gotta separate from this character. I have a lot of characters that are just in limbo right now that could be brought back on any server, but I'm like, I always just come up with a new idea with a new character. I'm like, oh, I want to play this. Boom, let's go. But the interesting between it's funny because someone did mention earlier, what's the dynamic between Sandien, Vessa, and Rowan? Well, Sandien and Vessa are business partners. They are both are mercenaries who were sent here on the same job to do something, and they also make money together on the server. Like literally, we have a business of selling stuff. I've probably made about 300, 400 gold on the server this season.
Nice.
Selling stuff. And I give her half the profits. We split it. And so we have that business. That's the only relationship they've had on the server. So when she started having a relationship with Rowan, Sandien does not give two flipping shits.
Yeah.
He does not care as long as it does. He watches it to make sure she's not fucking up the business or fucking up the job for this thing. Other than that, he does not care.
Okay.
So I like I enjoy RPing with her. So I think it's fine to have a relationship person. The people that have relationships and force their characters to be in relationships, those RP always die. That RP always dies, in my opinion.
So I'm gonna compare, I guess, that to playing with playing with a friend, basically. Like you mentioned the other person who brought you to the server. I just kind of want to look at that back on the question of character creation, and trying to help people who have no idea what they're doing. I guess there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I have an idea for a character, but like I don't know anybody here. You know, I don't know how to get involved, and the character requires something else. Like I saw a post for I don't know, some sort of whole clan or group or something that had like these specific roles. So when playing with your friend or friends or trying to build characters that are related and stuff, how do you uh like what do you think is a good practice for that? How to, you know, how to start with someone else or not, and your choice to do that with her or not, you know, what's the character creation look like, I guess, for that?
Well, I've been burned a lot about character creation and any tying with other people.
Okay.
As I said, my friend literally asked me to come on the server. I started on the server, made Sandien, messed around for about a day or two, got into his clan. He had a whole shebang about it. His clan got up, we were on a table. They asked Sandien questions about his beliefs. There was a little, like a scene of about an hour and a half
Yeah.
of them asking Sandien what his beliefs are, why he's here. Went through it, and 2 or 3 they after that day they never logged on again. So, and it's happened multiple times with the characters that you tie in. Like literally, like I stayed in that clan for a week or so later because I was like, hopefully they would change their mind. And then I
Yeah.
went, okay, I gotta leave. So I left and went to Valhalla Rising. My if you're making characters that are tied in with friends, know your friends. If they are RP friends, real life friends, whatever, know them. Know their particular. Know if they're going to stick around. Know if they're going, because if you tie your character to this, like me and him are twins, and we have joint energy together, where I can
Yeah.
only use my magic and my in vicinity with this person, and then he logs off for the rest of the time. Guess what? You can't do ever again on the server.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like you have to understand the person that you are tying your character with, and then make it like it sounds like an ass thing, but make it as loose of a thread as you can. Do not tie in 100%. My character requires this character, and make it where your story can branch out away from whoever you're tying in. That is the best way to do joint things. If you're doing a love relationship or whatever, if you want to go in that direction, you got to do it where if that person doesn't wake up, your character can still have a story. If you just tie your story into that person, you're fucked if that person decides not to do anything ever again.
Right. Uh
Yeah.
yeah, that loose tie point is really good, I think. Um I know of this group that always plays together, that we knew on Atlas, and they were sort of like a mill for new players, which I thought was really interesting. And what they do is they have their core group of friends who do the whole backstory. They do everything, right? I don't know if she changed her name. So I'm just gonna go with the name that I think she uses. Anyway, Renegade Dastard. She has RP'd for a long time, right? And so they do like backstory and all that stuff. But when someone new wants to play with them, they give them just a tie to a character or two. Like, you're my character's brother, and like you said, you know, there's a business or something that they're involved in, and then they like grow that player through RP and stuff. And I think that what they do is really great. So you saying that as well, like that little tie-in, but you're part of a group or with another person or whatever, is great, because then if you want to die and become undead, like, you can still be that brother or that business partner, or maybe the dynamic changes completely and you're not that at all anymore, but you don't have to be stuck in it. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, I can give you a cautionary tale. When Sandien was first made on another server, like his first interaction, he was the brother of a girl that I met, through RP. Her and her they're like on like relationship person. Uh, she goes, Sandien will be my brother. And I was like, okay, cool. And we went through the backstory and stuff, and I kind of made up a lot of it because she had like a vague backstory, like her character didn't remember anything. But Sandien came to the lands looking for her, blah, blah, blah. Well, it was a cool idea to like try to get her memory back, try to help her, try to figure out what's going on. Sandien was still kind of like pissed at her. There was all this story about it.
Yeah.
Well, I went there, confronted her, talked to her about it. Our characters looked almost like somewhat identical, so it was really hard to say that's not my brother. Like I was just the male version of her with a little
Cool.
bit taller, and went through the whole thing. And I got a wizard to try to cast a spell to get her memory back and all this stuff. But literally, she stopped playing. She just
Okay.
stopped logging on, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm stuck now. Like, what does Sandien do? Well,
Right.
Sandien's whole purpose was this. So if you hard tie into a character, it's it can be bad. You're literally stuck in things. That's why Sandien didn't come back the next season, and things like that, which pissed off a lot of people because some people wanted Sandien back, but I'm like, I literally have no story for him. I have nothing. I
Right.
have to start over. So I just made a new character. So the loose tie-in, like family members, is a good one, but don't tie the story like that's my brother. We're here. Boom, go. That's my
Wait.
dad. Go. Boom. But don't
Yeah.
go like this. Uh, who would like? Don't go so in depth into it where your story arc requires a person. Don't ever do that. Even when you start getting into an actual like say, if you do organically get into a relationship RP, require your character to have something else other than that relationship RP. If your character requires that, if you're sitting in your room waiting for this person to wake up, that is that you like if she stops waking up, you're fucked. Like
Right.
you got to have your own arc. You have to be able to both log on and walk in separate directions and still have a whole RP scenarios happening without that person around. But if you have to have that person joint hip with you, it's not going to work out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to flex real quick because there's a lot of people in chat that are my old school homies and stuff, but they probably don't know. We had this story for a company on Atlas called the Soggy Boys, and the idea was that we were a schooner enthusiast, Soggy Boys Schooner Club, and it was a like a motorcycle club, right? Except we used ships instead, and we like tricked out our ships all day, and like everyone was out fighting with cannons and stuff, but we weren't allowed to even have guns or cannons anyway. So we just like did a lot of aesthetic stuff and all of that junk. But when we started that, I talked to GobTube, and he was like, hey, I want to run this motorcycle club on the waves kind of thing. And I was like, cool, dude, I'm down. Let's do it. I'll support someone if they think they have a good idea and they want to do it. And I was like, let's do it. But then he's in college, right? So he couldn't join for about a month. So I was like, well, I have this character and I want him to be able to be invested in that later. So what I did was I started with another person, Ewok, and I set up everything along the way because my character had the backstory of being in the club and like all this stuff, but I never told Ewok's character any of that junk, okay? We set up a business, we started doing shady stuff, we did a restaurant or whatever, and then about a month in, I revealed this surprise that he was the front for a motorcycle club thing to him, and he had no idea. It was so good. Oh my gosh. But the reason I bring it up is because like I had this tie-in to one character, but I also had a tie-in to the other character. And like you said, I could have walked either direction at any time, and it would have made sense for my character as himself, because that character I had thought and planned enough that there was enough backstory to go either way the entire time, and it was beautiful. Yeah, that's how Soggy Boys got started. All of you who know what that is. Ta-da. Moving on with you though. I apologize.
It is fine.
I guess I also want to ask you about just in general, how do you feel about the server-led story, the admin powered story kind of thing?
Well, I've seen the bad and good with them. There's been a server where they had a server-led story, but they only did it like events like once a week, which basically half the server did not wake up until that day. So literally, like half the server wasn't awake. They got on, we would do a war, they would fight in the war, they would get off, and then you wouldn't see them for a week. This one had more of an everyday thing, which allowed you to be engaged, but didn't allow any side story. So literally, but again, I think that was, I started at half the season through.
Yeah.
So there might have been way different in the beginning of the season, and I don't know. I don't know if the death clause immediately started murdering people, or like I don't know any of the beginning story of it.
Right.
But
Me either. Yeah.
yeah. All I know is at the end there was literally no time for side stories, and then when it ended, it literally, like, I thought it was gonna be different. Okay, I thought this server was gonna be different than any other server I've been on. This main story was gonna end, and then there was going to be more conflict after with because everybody was mad at each other. There was scheming going on. There were backstabbing. People weren't believing each other. People threatened each other. And I thought all these players were going to be completely different than any other server I was going to be on. So the main story was going to end and more conflict begin. Sandien predicted it a bunch of times. So like, yeah, people are going to kill each other after this. You think this is the end of the war? The day of the battle, half the people that were gonna have consequences left the server.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Like, you guys all literally just avoided all the shit you said in all these meetings. Basically, you talked shit and nobody could punch you, talk shit, get hit.
Right.
Because we're at war. But the second the war was done, boom, they're gone. And it's like, okay, nothing we can do about any of this. All this story that was built up literally died in a second. And it was like, holy crap. And then the next thing I know, like, these people leave, these people leave, these people leave, and story halted immediately. And I was like, this is just like every other server I've ever been on.
Do you think that it would have been different if you go to the Discord, if you look at when the first post is for announcements, it is in August. August 30th is when they say, here's the lore or whatever. And then from what I understand, the server opened October. So October, November, December, January, 4 months of a server. It seems really long. Do you think that leaving, that exodus would have happened if it was a lot shorter? The server portion of the story?
Would have been different. I don't know. I've been on servers that, like, the first season of the last server I was on was really long, was 6 months. And it was a long season.
Gosh.
And it went on forever because of COVID stuff, of course.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
The guy who was running the show, like, literally got COVID, didn't come back for a couple months, and then when he came back, he just didn't feel up to actually leading the story. So the other admin was like, okay, I guess we got to pick this up, and it got really weird, and it got long out. And I've had the every 3 months thing, like literally 3 months. They planned everything. 3 months is done. Boom, we're done. You got 1 week, wrap up your stories, go. And it happened the same exact way. As soon as the server story ended, basically the server ended. Like, I there was one time I was on for like a week and a half after, and it was me and 2 other people on every day. Like, I would log on and I would run around and I'd knock on people's door. No one was awake. I went, and those two people will be there every day at the same exact spot. And I would walk up to them and be like, hello. Like,
Yeah.
and now those servers start out big, would be like 40, 50 people in the beginning, the first month, and then it would just die gradually. But this server, I thought there was going to be a little bit. I thought it was going to be a little bit different because a lot of people they talked more shit in character. Like on my other servers, a lot of people talk shit out of character. My character can kill your character type things, like in Discord. But when it came in character, everyone's nice to each other.
Right.
But this one had more of people like doing actual conflicts in character. So I was like, oh sweet, these guys are gonna actually do stuff that I didn't see before. Like
Yeah.
Sandians actually might have to pick a side. Sandian's gonna have to make alliances. And then nothing came of it.
Nothing. Yeah.
And now, does the server story hurt or help this situation? I don't know. But I do know that I've never been on a server that didn't have server story that lasted the entire 3 months. Like, everyone's personal stories always, not always, but some last longer, of course. I won't say always. Mostly, when I saw one that wasn't server story driven, it was dead within a month. Like, people were just sitting around poking each other with sticks at campfires or whatever, and not really doing anything. And then the 3 months came, new server happened, new season happened. The first month started out great. People were getting to know each other. Server, stories were getting in depth, and then it would die out again. And then server stories kind of keep you, like people need a reason to wake up.
Yeah.
Like just to wake up to talk to the same person I talked to yesterday isn't going to motivate me every day to wake up.
Right.
There has to be a reason that we're like somewhat of a reason. It doesn't even have to be huge. It doesn't have to be the death claws are going to destroy the world type huge, but something that we're talking about. Like there could be a whole season of 3 months of us talking about a threat or figuring out what this threat is before we actually get to the threat, which happens the next season. As long as there's something to intellectually talk about, you will get people's intrigue and get people on the server. That's what you need, someone on the server. And there has to be a point to it. Like there was a server I got on where I ran and found something that was put there by admins. I knew these creatures weren't there before, but they're here now. So I killed the creatures and there's a big door. I walk up to the door, there's nothing. Literally nothing. My girlfriend was there. She was playing at the same time. There was no story to it. There was nothing. But it was something that was going to happen later.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I found it now. I can't find out anything about it right now. I can't push about it right now, but someday it's going to happen. Now, is that a good or bad thing? It was a bad thing because I lost interest. I didn't care about this place anymore. There has to be a thread for me to follow. There has to be a purpose for this, like, to keep going at this moment. But it's how I think server story keeps people waking up, and it might not apply to everybody. And admins have to know, which they did. They kind of tried to stop this season, which is what happens in every server I've ever been. They becomes main characters, and if you understand what I mean by that, is the thing revolves around certain groups. This group and this group are main characters. Everyone else is side story, and everyone else gets mad because what the fuck? I'm not the main character. So you got this group in the south who lives by Clear Shore. Everything goes through them. This group in the north is vampires. Their guy's the leader. So everything goes through these two groups. It kind of changed when one of the groups left, and it kind of went a little bit more. And I'll be 100% honest. I thought it was 100% weird that we made the leader of our army the same guy who's playing the leader of the bad guys.
Yeah, but how could they have known? Come on.
Well, I'm talking about like it's weird that you're, as an admin, putting your character in the position to become leader of the war on both sides. Like, I don't know how to, okay, I'm telling you everything. I know everything's now meta to the main bad guy. Like, he just knows everything now. So I tell you my plan. Well, the main bad guy now knows my plan. Like, it's a weird interaction. It puts me in a weird mental state when I walk and approach Lord Viserion. I know, I know he's separating the two.
Yeah.
But there was a time where he ran in as Lord Viserion and started talking to us with the voice of the Deathclaw man. Because he forgot to turn off his voice change.
That's good.
And I'm sitting there like, okay, how do, like, we're like, there's something in your throat. What were you eating before you got here? Like, we didn't know how to. It was a weird thing.
Oh man,
It was
that's so
a
funny.
question Vessa brought up to me once. And she was like, "Have you never seen the Deathclaw Commander and Lord Viserion in the same space?"
Yeah, sure, but I mean,
I
nobody's
just
ever
started
seen
laughing.
Barry and the commander in the same space until the end, for the record. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you hit him with a hand and you beat his ass.
I did. I'm very proud.
Yeah, you won that fight. I love that video when you sent it to me. I just started laughing my ass off. People at work thought I was crazy.
I think I think you're a great RPer, I guess, is obviously not just because you've practiced, but obviously you like think about stuff and like invest in things, you know, all the junk we just talked about for almost 2 hours, or I guess an hour and 40 minutes. But do you have any tips for the community, or tips for new players, or just things you want to say that you haven't had a platform to say to other RPers?
The one thing that I guess bothers me the most is just
Oh,
be interested in other people.
yeah,
Like I know how important your story is to you. And I know when you're writing your story, you're happy and you want to tell people. Like there's but like you don't know what this person you're talking to right now could bring to the story that you've created. So just show some interest in other people. It could go a huge way. Don't get me wrong, it could lead to nothing. This guy could be a complete and utter ass. But it could lead to a great story that you and this person that you thought you have no interest in that can write and help. When you're writing your story, always leave openings for people to fit in there. Just basically, like don't make it where this has to be the exact story I go through. Make it where it's literally like a sandbox, as you've seen on the screen. But just allow it to be molded by people around you. Don't make it where this is my story, this is it, boom, done. Also, it's something that I guess you're going to start doing is learn the game. It makes it much easier. I was on a server where new people were joining halfway through the season, and the main bad guy started scooping them up as soon as they spawned in. Basically, they would walk to where they're, basically would be the equivalent to clear shore would be, and the main bad guy had guys like posted there and would get them in their group, give them like, you're joining us, you're going to be part of my army, turned them into, like, it was a death knight situation, turned them into death knights and gave them all their items. Well, we wiped them out, but we allowed some of the new ones. We won the war ended, and some of the new people started like joining other clans because they're done with this death knight stuff. But we didn't kill them, we just killed the main death knight, so they went back to what they were before. Well, they would come up to me and be like, I don't know how to make iron. And I'm like, you literally just put that in a furnace over there and then hit the button. Like you just make the guy do it, you know? Like, and they didn't know that, and that's literally like making stone and iron in my eyes is something like you should have played this game before you ever got into RP. Like you should have just played single player for a while, fucked around on it, so you know at least the basics of this game that you're playing. Now, is it required to RP and know the basics? No.
no.
If you want to just RP and get into it, but if you want to RP that your character is a badass that kicks everyone's ass,
Yeah.
you better know how to play this game because I'm going to smoke you and I'm not going to hold back.
He's not calling me out. He just gave me the out or whatever. For the record, I've RP'd long enough as the leech category that I consider to be inside me that I am confident that I can provide enough RP to cover for all the things I don't know in the game. in Atlas, I know every single thing except for like stats, because fighting's never been an interest to me and I want to play fighting realistically. But in Atlas, like, I know all the stuff and I just choose not to do it. And I have played on Atlas the same way I've played on Arc, in which I never craft. If I build, it's for RP only, you know, that sort of thing. So I have practiced that a lot, and I was confident in Barry that if after the first couple days where the joke was going to continue, I was confident that the character and the RP I was providing would cover for the amount of knowledge that I did not have, which is all of it for the game. So, for the record. Yeah.
I'm going to bring up one thing.
Okay.
And it has nothing against you and how you did Barry. But I'm going to give a tip to everybody. Your level of your character in Conan has nothing to do with your RP. If you're level 120, you have the same health as a level 1.
Okay.
As long as you don't put any stats in it. So, if a good guy like Sandien, who has helped you out, asks you to make a fucking hammer, you should be high enough level to make it.
It didn't make sense anyway. I'm sorry that I couldn't make it, but
Fine. It was a funny trick, or funny like scenario for Sandien. He literally, I think I spent 2 weeks looking for somebody to make a hammer for him. It was literally the it was like, out of all the things that I can do on this server, finding someone to make a hammer for me was the hardest quest I had. And it was pretty funny. But yeah, like I shut up, I'm not salty, all right? But yeah, the one, but all honesty, the level, like if you were 120 or 1, you could have done the same exact RP. 120 doesn't give you anything. It just gives you points to put into your attributes. Which is, if you don't know the game, you wouldn't know that. You would think being 120 is going to make my character godlike, right? But literally 120 doesn't do anything unless you put points into your attributes. You have the 200 health at level 1, you have 200 health at level 20 or 120. It's literally attribute based, which makes you put points into things. But it makes sense. It kind of made sense when I had Barry do that, for him to say I can't do that.
Yeah, of course. Like, why would this character I've played for months, who has never done that stuff, just suddenly do it, and his backstory be like this really soft kindergarten teacher kind of old man stuff who'd never been involved in metalworking? Like, how would he make a hammer? I agree, but also I was trying to get involved. I was trying to do training and stats. I did want to, well, for the record, again, I keep saying that I had intended to perma Barry and learn the character when he was tortured, or learn the game when he was tortured, and that didn't happen. So I shifted into the story of the war and all of that stuff so that I could learn the game, because I agreed that it had been too long at which I knew nothing about the game. So I was trying at that point.
Oh, no. I have nothing against the scenario. I thought it was hilarious. I literally walked off and like told the first person, because London was like trying to get London literally lied to Sandien. Yeah, I can make that hammer. I'm like, oh sweet, you can make it. And he walks up and he goes and turns around to Sandien and goes, yeah, I can't make that hammer. So they're going, oh thanks London. Oh crap, you got my hopes up perfectly and crashed them even better. It's so perfect. And then the whole Barry thing happened. It was literally the same day too, because he told me that night in the morning he tried to make me the hammer and couldn't, and then I ran into Barry, and then that whole scenario happened. So an entire day of trying to get that hammer, 2 people couldn't make it for him.
That's so good. Oh man. And
like, you want to hear something else messed up?
Yes.
I knew 2 people on the entire server that could make the hammer. I know Doug and Lord Galligan, or whatever his name is. Those were 2 people that I knew 100% could make that thing. Neither one of them logged on for 2 weeks until the battle at the end, where they both logged on, fought in the battle, and then both disappeared afterwards and were never seen again. I'm like,
So good.
thank you.
So good. I'm glad that you're showing that you're a old hat RPer, you're an old hat Conan player, but that you're not doing every single thing. You're not forcing the game, forcing the RP of other people. Like the fact that you didn't have the hammer as a limitation for you and your character, it's an example. And for the record, if you did stream, I think that you would be able to be a good example and a good I don't know, example was a great word. An example of, how to RP and how to limit yourself and get involved in other people's stories and all that stuff, if you so chose. I thought. 69.
Yeah,
Dang it, it's 69. Why didn't I know that? All right, carry on.
It was the Hammer of Conquest it's before the Hammer of Justice, so it was the Order of Justice side of Stormhold. Most of my idea of not streaming RP, like I could be a person who could show some people and stuff like that, but again, my like I know, and a lot of people have thrown it around. The sad part is the idea of meta is weird, in my opinion, because as soon as you know it, you're technically metaing.
Right.
Normally the actual wordage of it is if you use it in character. Well,
Right.
you, like, as I said, if I know something's happening, let's say I know something's happening at the treehouse, and someone told me OOCly, and I go, shit. If I go to the treehouse, that's meta. If I don't go to the treehouse, that's meta.
Right.
I'm stuck at this point. So if I just go off and fight something, I'm literally metaing. But if
Right.
it's such a weird concept. So whenever anybody watches a stream and knows any information that their character should not know, they in my opinion are metaing, because if you make any decision, and even if it's a decision that's not really, you're trying not to base it on that, you're literally basing it on that by not basing, like, if you understand what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, of course. I've talked about the idea of meta a lot, and it's so difficult because there's a choice that you can constantly make all the time to go to a place or to go to not go, right? And just referencing the place outside of RP, it doesn't matter what you say, referencing that place influences your choice, because if you say the treehouse is pretty in a chat, right, and then I go to the treehouse, did I go there because I was thinking about the treehouse or whatever? And I actually have a method that I use sort of to try and get around that. At the beginning of streams, when I'm waking up or whatever, what Tourniquet just said, what I do is I say, okay, here are the goals I'm going to try to achieve today. Here's who I'm going to try and find. And then at the end of the stream, I say, I didn't get this, or all this stuff happened. Here's what I'm going to try and do tomorrow. And it might change before the next stream, but like, that's how I try and do it, so that if someone comes in and says, hey, the treehouse is beautiful, did you know there's a new room? If I've already thought, like, oh, I need to go to the treehouse to get clothes or something, I've made that decision already, personally. And of course, it's difficult when there's like a war going on and and you're on a date with a wolf and a elf girl, and there's a battle occurring. Like, if someone comes in and says that junk, then I have to constantly think, every time I take them somewhere, am I doing it because of the information I have, or because it's the story, over and over and over? And that's draining for sure. So
yeah, it becomes a 100% a headache. Meta is like, It's the worst thing that can ruin. And I'll be honest, it sometimes when people meta, it leads to great RP as well.
Right.
Don't be wrong, the meta part is wrong, but what happens after it sometimes turns into a good situation. But I don't want it in my mind at all.
Yeah.
I just don't want the idea that I could be metaing right now.
Right. To give you some meta, I have to pee, A, and B, I have another interview. And I mean, I didn't ask you all the questions outright, but you're like a huge wealth of knowledge and information that is a great example, like I said. So I don't care. Like, my questions were not what not anywhere close to what we spoke about, and I appreciate your time.
There was a couple of them that you asked them that I was like, I had answers for, like the sex one and stuff like that. But
yeah.
We could just talk about them some other time if you ever want to.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the amount of sex and junk in Conan? Good question.
It in ways it's distracting. My girlfriend loves to bring it up. One of her main things is random innuendos, and there are times where I go along with it. Sandien will go along with it. My character will 100% go along with it. But I understand the world we're in. It's literally a sex-driven world. This server, or this not server, this game is literally a sex-driven game. Like, one of the things that most people who do RP or stream Conan have to put 18 plus behind their stream because of someone could be naked. Of course, you can turn it off, in your way, but most people don't. They just leave it on because, animated boobies, yay. But it's not distracting because some of the best RP that I've ever had has been relationship RP. Some of the worst RP I've ever had has been relationship RP. Some of the greatest and funniest moments have been Amy and us sitting around, and I knew you were uncomfortable while they were just innuending for like 30 minutes nonstop. I knew it because Barry's not a quiet man. But during this moment, Barry is the quietest man on the planet. So I'm like, okay, yeah, he's not into this. I know it. But they were going off. They literally, Amy didn't stop. And Vessa didn't stop. Literally nonstop innuendos. And I'm sitting there like, oh, I'll throw out some. I'm a funny person. And it was a funny moment. Now, I don't know if I could be. Okay, I 100% know that I can't be in a clan that's all they do. Yeah. I can't do tavern RP or campfire RP, however you want to put it, every day.
Yeah.
I get bored in taverns. I get bored in other situations when we're not doing anything other than chit-chatting about bra size or whatever the fuck they're talking about, or penises or whatever, all day, every day. All right? I have to do something. Like, there has to be a activity to keep me going. But yeah, I think that the servers or the games push towards nudity and sex, and being a sex god, sex/death god. And I really believe a lot of people who play Conan are perverts. 100% perverts. And it's the same people who play Skyrim and play with their fucking weird ass sex mods. They're crazy. Like, the same people would play on this, and it's hard to it's thrown in your face every day about sex and stuff on the server. I don't think it destroys the RP of the server. There are times where I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna leave this situation, and just Sandien walks off, or whatever character I'm playing at the time, because there's just too much of this. Don't get me wrong, there are people that are fucking weird with relationship RP. I believe we were having an interview or a meeting between the vampires of the Jewel clan and the Valhalla Rising. And there's a meeting going on where they're talking serious stuff. And Ivania, I believe her name is telling us information about vampires and just going on about this sports stuff. And there's these two people sitting in a corner. One of them's like a cat girl, and the other one's, I think, a vampire. I'm not 100% sure because they didn't say anything, but they're just emoting, licking each other's ears, touching each other, like just doing weird fucking shit in this corner. and I'm sitting there going, and I'm leaning up against the wall of Sandien and just going, yeah, like this isn't the time for this. Like, and don't get me wrong, when they mentioned it, it's literally in their character to do this weird stuff. But I'm sitting there going, I don't know if I should go beat them with a sword until they stopped, or if I should just leave the situation. I don't know how to react to this right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Distraction is a good way to put it. I think a lot of times it just comes up like, because we're joking or whatever, and that's fine. But many occurrences of it are like out of place because I guess everybody's chill with it or thinks it's good or whatever. So I agree. Like I occasionally make innuendo, but I don't go there automatically. So I can't keep up. I'm not witty in that scenario that way. So I really have nothing to say. Like if you're firing off innuendo back and forth really fast, I can't keep up. Personally, as a person, so my characters don't do it either, obviously.
Well, I'll keep with it for a bit, but halfway through the conversation, I just lose interest. I'm like, okay, we need to move on to something else. And they just kept going. I just like when you see when Sandien gets quiet, like when you guys were doing the sing off. The sing off was cool at the beginning, but I was like, can we do something else now?
Right.
And then you guys just kept singing songs. So I picked up the lute and just started playing it. I literally got up from my seat and walked into a different, I went and did other things, came back and oh shit, they're still singing. Like, I can't sing. I liked that you guys were doing this and it was interesting, but it met its point, its apex, and then you guys just jumped off that cliff and kept going. I was just like, okay, yeah, I what worse, the sad thing is what pissed me off about that scenario most was after that he disappeared. So you guys couldn't have a repeat battle or something come up of this to allow this scene to have some type of ending, if you understand.
Right, yeah, I got you. A repeat battle. That's so good.
Like an epic thing, kind of like your play, but instead you and Danny are battling for supremacy of singing random songs or something. Like some type of closure to it, but it felt like, okay, yeah, well, this never happened again.
Yeah.
You never had a sing off again.
Right.
Only two of us got to experience that scenario. It was a nice scenario for me and Lexi to experience, but I think it could have turned into something bigger, like him challenging you to something, or you challenging him to. It would be more of him challenging you.
Yeah, I think I'm willing. Well, I play characters that have no strong strong focus, I guess. So if I want to stop and have an hour of singing, I can. I don't play characters that feel the need to go kill or any of that stuff. So or like a vampire that must feed or whatever. Roscoe, I have a clip of Roscoe singing, and it's so good because he sang in character, and it was this thing I had never heard, and all this stuff. It's so freaking good. Just to talk about that.
For me, in doing things like that, I can't do voices. I don't like my voice. Most people don't, but I can't do voices. My voice is this. Most characters sound like this. I did do a voice changer once because I was playing an evil necromancer and I walked around speaking in an annoying tone because I wanted people to hate this guy. And other than that, it's literally this. This is what you get. I try to do like more suave things or more arrogant voice or whatever. I can go a little monotone too, so my character sounds like he has no feelings behind anything he's saying. But other than that, I can't do voices at all. And don't get me wrong, people have knocked me for it. You're not a good RPer because you can't do voices. And I'm like, well, my characters are all completely different people.
Yeah.
They don't have the same, like, they're not doing the same things. I've had characters that didn't do any jokes an entire season. I had one character that tried to become a drug kingpin. I like
That's the,
in Conan. Like
yeah.
I've had characters that just cared about magic and was only interested in the developing magic and had no interest in PvP at all. Like doing other things is it's great, and I like when people do voices. It gets me more in. I wish I could do a voice, other than
Right.
annoying screech or whatever the fuck I can do, but I can't do like an accent or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I will tell people who can't do voices that it doesn't hurt your RP to do the same voice.
I agree.
Yeah, as long as your characters like it does hurt your RP if you play one character as a vampire lord and then you play a peasant, but they're the same guy.
Right. Yeah.
Like
The same
that hurts your
motivation
RP.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
you do the same voice, but you have completely different characteristics, that's what RP is. Not if you can do a million voices.
Yep. A lot of my early characters were just me. Two of my early characters are just me and my voice. Barry was just to test to see if I could do a Mad Hatter voice. That was the only goal. So, it like don't I like people who have the same sort of voice because I think they're more creative with their characters if they're trying. Like you, obviously you're so knowledgeable and thoughtful and all of that stuff. So the next character that I see, I'll know it's you immediately, obviously, but I think personally it will make me focus more on the differences and all of that stuff. So I agree. Anyone who thinks, oh, I'm not good at voices or whatever, that doesn't matter. I agree. But I do have to go and run the thingy, whatever it's called, the intro. Well, I gotta pee actually more than anything. But yeah, I just said it and I'll say it again. I did not expect you to be as amazing as you are because obviously I don't know you, but in just listening to you speak about RP, I think you're amazing. And thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't expect this, but thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. Obviously, I consider us friends now, along with all of them. They're all my friends too, so I look forward to hanging out with you in the future and stuff.
Yeah.
Probably in RP.
Go to the bathroom.
Oh, I'm going. So I'm gonna end this call. Goodbye. You're wonderful.
I know.
Okay, cool. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, call ended. I'm going to run this and set up the next thing. The homies are ready. I have to. So my feet are really cold. I think it's affecting me. But I have feety pajamas, and when I'll tell you about it when I come back. Well, actually, no, I won't. I'll tell you now. So I have feety pajamas that allow you to put your feet out or in or whatever. They're amazing. I recommend them to everyone who likes pajamas or sweatpants. But my feet are cold. That's it. That's the only thing.